Hey fam, what's going on? I'm Draken Mythic.
And I'm Ripcord, and together we make up Ginger and a Beard. In a previous video, we had given a brief overview of the races of Lineage 2 Revolution. Today we kind of wanted to dive a little bit deeper into the human race.
Yeah, so we're going to take a close look at humans, what perks they bring, and take a quick look at all the different subclasses for humans. Alright fam, let's jump into the human race subclasses. Again, Ripcord not feeling very well right now, so I'm going to finish these out so you guys have a good idea of what to expect when playing the human race. So first things first, the primary base class of warrior has two subclasses. Now when you turn level 31 in the game, you'll be able to switch to a subclass, and that is final, so you can either go to Paladin or Warlord if you start out as a warrior, and then Rogue goes Treasure Hunter, Hawkeye, Mystic, Sorcerer, or Bishop. So for the warrior, the Paladin is going to rock heavy armor and the sword and shield. Let's take a quick look at his abilities here. He's got Slam that swings the weapon in a large arc and damages, knocks down, provokes enemies, so it's a good taunt, AoE taunt. Vengeance here, let's have a shout and provokes nearby enemies to attack you, so another taunt. And they also are silenced, is pretty much what uncontrollable means. They can't use their skills, which this is the ability that already got nerfed on the Korean server because it was too powerful in PvP, making the Paladin a really strong tank in PvP. And finally, we have Majesty, which increases defense for a moment and reflects a portion of the damage received. So that is all the abilities. As I already mentioned, Paladin really strong in PvP, has high HP, and can become very tanky. I'm not going to be dealing a whole lot of damage, that's just kind of how the tank classes are, but a very strong tank class for sure. Alright, let's move on to the Warlord. Warlord is the melee DPS of the human characters. Well, I guess Rogue is also, the Treasure Hunter is also a melee DPS, but this is the AoE kind of tanky bruiser type. Dual wielding swords, or you can rock a spear if you so choose. Let's take a quick look at his abilities. He swings a weapon in a large arc. Oh, that sounds kind of familiar. Deals damage and knocks down enemies, so more crowd control, which is awesome. Thunderstorm slams the ground with great force and stuns nearby enemies. 2 crowd controls. That's really strong, especially in PvP when you want to keep your enemies from dealing damage and or using their abilities. So another strong PvP class here if you're into doing DPS, but you want to wear that heavy armor. This might be the class for you. And the third ability is a buff. It's going to increase attack, speed, and the number of enemies hit at once. So that's pretty nice. You can definitely, when you get into those 30 versus 30 PvP events, that could come in big handy. As of right now, just a heads up, we probably suggest you use the dual swords over the spear, just because of the way the game works, and that the dual swords attack faster, so you're just doing more damage. Alright, let's move on to the Rogue base class. First up is the Treasure Hunter. Now, these guys will be wearing light armor, and this definitely looks like light armor if you can't tell by all the pieces of metal that is on it. It's a very light metal. And the dagger. So this is the more traditional Rogue, the melee dagger style Rogue. Let's look at his abilities real quick. So we have Sandcloud, which sprays dirt and lowers accuracy. So this will give you a little bit more survivability as your opponents will start missing with lowered accuracy. It's not as good as maybe having higher defense, but you're a rogue, it's what you get. Backstab. Teleport behind the enemy to deal damage and stun nearby enemies. Now that's really nice if you teleport and stun. So crowd control as well as a gap closer. This is a really strong ability, especially against those ranged heroes that you as a melee DPS will need to get on top of quickly and do as much damage as possible. So great ability there. And finally, haste increases attack speed and evasion drastically for a moment. So this seems like an oh shit button where your evasion goes up and then you do a lot of damage all at once. Moving on to the Hawkeye. Now this is a really strong class. They obviously ranged in the physical sense where they'll use a bow and arrow, but they have the highest burst DPS in the game right now. And any ranged class is going to have an advantage when farming and or leveling up, just because they can tag those mobs a lot quicker. Also wearing the light armor, but using the bow this time, we're going to have a little bit different abilities, so let's take a look at them. Multiple shots. Sprays penetrating arrows in a cone to deal damage and knock down enemies. So this is good. You can hit multiple enemies, you can knock them all down. Obviously has a conal area of effect, but that's really good if people are coming in on you and you need to get some crowd control so you can get away and keep damaging them. Arrow rain. So showers arrows in a circle to deal continuous damage to enemies within the area. So now you have an AoE where you can do lots of damage to people grouped up. So it's a great way to get through mobs, or if you find a whole bunch of people out there on that 30 versus 30 PvP, you can just start raining arrows down on them. Now, at this point, I wanted to mention that there is only 3 spots for abilities right now, so you're going to have to choose between one of these last two, as they're both buff abilities. So Snipe moves carefully to increase attack and accuracy rate, can attack enemies far away by sniping. So you're going to reduce your movement speed, but you're going to be able to take people out from farther away. And then finally, Hawkeye activates Hawkeye. Hawkeye increases crit rate and damage dealt to enemies. So this is the buff that makes Hawkeye so strong. This gives this subclass the highest burst DPS in the game. So definitely run that buff, in my opinion. Alright, moving into the Mystic base class of the human race. First off, we have the Sorcerer, which is the magic DPS. We're going to be throwing around some fireballs, using staffs. Got the good old cloth armor, so very little armor, but still looks more than... that's not too bad, I guess, looking at it. Could be clothy. Let's take a look at the abilities. First off, a volcano creates a powerful pillar of fire to deal damage to enemies within the area. So good AoE here, using the elements to their advantage. Molten Bowl. Tasty. Launches a flaming orb that penetrates enemies and explodes at the end of its trajectory. So, got kind of a line of fire, and then it blows up at the end. I'm not sure why they called it Molten Bowl. Molten Ball? Typo? Question mark? Anyways, final buff ability is the Boost Mana. Increase the MP used for skills and boost the skills attack. So, yeah, this is good when you have other casters, or especially a healer, to make them a lot more effective in PvP and PvE, so a nice buff ability for everybody to have. Finally, last but not least, is the Bishop subclass of the human race. Again, using the staff and light armor. This is your healing class. They are going to keep everybody alive. Everybody's favorite person is the healer, except for when you die, then they're not doing their job. Let's just get it worse. First off, Divine Punishment creates a holy explosion to deal damage and knock down enemies within the area. So this is your damage ability. It's got the knockdown, it's got the AoE effect. It's really nice to keep people off of you and move away from them. You know, just keep yourself alive, because that's most important when you're healing. Next, we have the Major Heal. Heals you and your party members around you with holy powers to recover HP and MP. So, obviously that's your healing ability. It is a burst style heal, as I mentioned before. really strong PvP healer when you can just burst heal everybody back up to full health. And I guess I should make a note here that there is no like cooldown reduction, so making the most of your abilities is very important in Lineage 2, and getting a huge burst heal like that on a healer is really strong when you're gonna have to wait 20 seconds for the next one to come through. So alright guys, that's gonna wrap up our coverage of the human subclasses. Obviously we've seen some really strong classes, some great abilities, and overall just a good race no matter what you pick. If you want to get more information on any of the other races, just definitely look up those videos. We have those videos up for you now. I want to thank you for watching, but definitely please hit that subscribe button, leave us a comment, let us know what you would like to see in our next videos, and we will definitely get those going for you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you!
Hero, I wanna be a hero.